Are you feeling lucky, music lovers? This is everything I played in the month of March. We had St. Patrick's Day this month, so I brought out my Irish Celtic lever harps and we played Celtic music for the first half of March. Hi, my name's Anna and I am a full-time professional performing harpist. That means I make my living by playing harp at different places. For example, this month I played for some local eateries and some great churches. To start off the month, I had the opportunity to film a long-form video at our gorgeous local wedding venue, a little micro venue called the Carriage Barn in downtown Goshen. They took a weekday, opened up the space to me, and I got to film all of these favorite Irish melodies in this beautiful vintage building. If you want to hear any of these Irish songs, it's all up on my YouTube channel. But most of what I do is play music at senior living facilities. I do therapy music for memory care units. I always like to start out programs with some fast-paced jigs to get people's toes tapping. I opened with a little jig set that included Robin's Return by South Bend fiddle player Michael Pixley and Chapel Bell, a tune I learned from my harp friend Hannah Flowers off of her CD, The Harp and the Holly. Whenever I have Irish music out, there are two songs that get requested all the time, especially among seniors. Turalura Lura, an Irish lullaby, and Oh Danny Boy are the most popular Irish melodies, even though both of them became popular in America. I always start with the arrangements out of Sylvia Woods' books, although like most Sylvia Woods arrangements, I treat them almost more like a lead sheet and use that as a place to get creative with it. Of course, the tunes that are often associated as Oh Danny Boy, well, that's just one set of lyrics. You see, a lot of folk music, it functions like Lego blocks. You have a certain number of beats or a certain number of syllables, and then you can sort of swap out different lyrics and different melodies. The same tune can have 3 or 4 sets of lyrics, or the same sets of lyrics can be sung to different tunes. I learned a lot of these as classic hymn tunes, and then I discover later, they're way more famous as Irish dances. Tunes like I Heard the Voice of Jesus Say is also Star of the County Down, or what I learned as O Lord of Hosts, How Lovely Is Your Dwelling is also The Maids of Mourne Shore, or Down by the Sally Gardens, or. My first inspiration for these tunes came from Kim Robertson's book for Celtic harp, but I ended up doing original arrangements for my CD, blending together a couple of tunes, including the Welsh tune Jesus, Lover of My Soul with I Heard the Voice of Jesus Say, and making it a whole jig-like dance. I put together The Maids of Mourne Shore with the gorgeous O Carolyn's Dream and made my original medley. Both of these are available on my website. We grabbed some Irish love songs, including My Wild Irish Rose, When Irish Eyes Are Smiling, and my favorite, Me Login Love. Again, I started with the basic arrangements out of 50 Irish Melodies for All Harps by Sylvia Woods, and expand it. And then once everyone is relaxed, we have to get their blood pumping again. Get some jig tunes back in there, this time combining the Kesh jig with Blarney Pilgrim. I always loved Kim Robertson's version of Blarney. It's all Blarney. Now this is a lever or Celtic style harp, but it's made by Dusty Strings, a harp company out of Seattle, Washington. They also make harp pickups. So I take my Dusty Strings harp with my Dusty Strings pickup out and I will run it through a loop pedal. Then when I'm playing jigs, I will create some rhythm effects. I will loop those as the bass for the longer jig song to give it a lot of pick up and go. Now we're playing Irish music this month because St. Patrick's Day was halfway through and St. Patrick gets all the brand recognition. St. Pat's this, St. Pat's that. I want to give a little love to my favorite Irish saint, St. Columba. St. Columba was one of the first missionaries from Ireland to other cultures, and he founded the monastery at Iona, a place that preserved in their library almost everything that we know about ancient Ireland. This month I put together 3 traditional tunes. Duro, a tune from the Duro town of Ireland that's often used with St. Columba's prayer, O God, thou art the Father. I also arranged Column-style, a gorgeous minor key haunting melody that gets its name from the Gaelic pronunciation of Columba. Column-style Columba. I release the sheet music for those at the beginning of the month, and when I perform them, I often combine them with one other wonderful tune It's called St. Columba, or The King of Love, My Shepherd Is, a famous setting of the 23rd Psalm. Of course, we have to actually play some St. Patrick near some St. Patrick's Day, so I finish with the Irish tune Slain, which is most commonly sung with the lyrics, Be Thou My Vision, a translation of a prayer attributed to St. Patrick himself. Then halfway through the month, we shift from the traditional Celtic into Easter season. I get to play with symphony and I get to play with other musicians, but this month I got to play with a massive organ. I joined a church orchestra that was doing Theodore Du Bois's The Seven Last Words of Christ, which is for choir, soloists, orchestra, and organ. I never heard this piece before, and it had a huge, delicious harp part. You get into the big sort of French 19th century sounds with the full organ, harp, and soloists belting out the end of the room. I highly recommend, if you haven't heard it, check it out, look it up. It was really fun to play. Then I made my second long-form video this month. I collected a bunch of my favorite Easter hymns, some of which I've made arrangements of or found arrangements of over the years. Other times, I just grabbed copies straight out of the hymnal. I improvised over an hour of music, pulled the harp up to the windows in my living room, and exposed my camera for the bright spring sunshine to give it that glorious heavenly halo effect. Most out-of-the-box requests this month: Paw Patrol. I get a lot of the normal wedding requests, things like Turning Pages by Sleeping at Last or Home by Edward Sharp. But whenever I play like a public space, there are often little kids running around. One of my fellow vendors suggested, play Paw Patrol. New secret to getting smiles on little boys' faces. 2 videos, orchestra, and all of my solo performances. I played about 36 separate locations just in the month of March. But stay tuned for next month as we get into the raindrop season. What did you listen to this month? Or what do you want to hear in future months? Leave a comment down below, and may all of your days be filled with good luck and great music.